It's probably just a visit. I don't know that, I mean, I don't know. Every day?
All right, what we're doing, go ready. All right, 5:31, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Roll call. Mr. Ramsey. Okay, we got Mr. Pryor. Mr. Markowski. Here. Mr. Baker.
Here.
Absent would be, Bryant and also Christopher. Rawlings here. Recognize, can we get recognition for quorum? Yep. Okay. And I look for a motion for approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, Ramsey. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, and then also I'll look for a motion for approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. All good.
Yeah, we could, okay, I'll keep up. Okay.
All right. Okay, so we've got a, public hearing on the agenda for draft revisions for zoning code, chapter 14.05, 14.07, 14.08, 14.13, 14.20, and 14.28. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and open up that to the public.
You talking about the old golf course?
No. Okay, so no discussion. And we look for, I guess, a vote of approval.
Close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing, excuse me. So that's gonna be closed at 5:33. Now, I need to look for a motion for the approval of the revision.
Is there any discussion?
Or any, yeah.
Once again,
Anything new?
come the license we approved and, approved it for the minutes.
It's exactly what we discussed at the last meeting.
Rob, I've got one comment, it's maybe a little bit late to the game, but on the charts, under permitted uses, just to throw this out as maybe, listen to consider adding as a permitted use would be T1 public and private nonprofit schools. We do have a couple of schools in the T1 zone, and that might be something to talk about adding as a permitted use to clean that up.
Say it again, public or private?
Yeah, public/private schools.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
So no further discussion, look for a motion for approval?
No. I want a sense of the commission whether you want to add that.
I'll be
as a
honest, I
permitted use.
assumed it was allowed in all zoning areas that allowed any type of residential or non-industrial.
Public or private schools
Mm-hmm.
as a permitted use or as a conditional use? Because right now, it's not permitted in any commercial, I don't see it. Is that what you're saying? It's not here at all?
My recommendation, especially T1, that's where there are a couple right now that are active, and honestly, C1, in the new environment, there may be more schools popping up in the future.
Yeah, they saw one.
Well, right now, we're only dealing with commercial zone. I think there is already something in the residential zone.
I believe so.
So the question is whether you would want to amend what you've seen before now and to permit private or public schools as a permitted use, but only in T1.
Is it not in commercial?
No.
If I overlooked that, is there a particular reason we wouldn't allow schools in commercial? We amend it where we allow, it's a permitted use in C1 and P1 schools, both public and private.
That's your call. I
I
mean,
think that-
what you should do is amend what's before you to add that, and then adopt the entire recommendation as amended.
I make a motion to amend the currently changes to where a public or private school is a permitted use in C1 or T1.
Yeah, second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Yeah, any opposed?
Okay. Okay, now there's a vote on as amended, on 1402, 1405.
I make a motion to approve the changes as amended on all of the sections presented.
Look for a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, the next item on the agenda, we've got a preliminary plat review of River City. Some staff review was currently in progress. You can pass that. Staff review is, I'm not putting it up.
We've still got issues.
Okay. Okay, so we got this preliminary plat review.
Okay, I'll start out with the things that I have reviewed on the preliminary plat that I reviewed that was submitted, because it was late November. It was the massive
Late
email
October.
that you sent.
We first submitted it on October 31st.
Now, this is the latest one.
Yes,
that came in.
we've had some iterations back and forth with you all. I misunderstood.
Yeah, the only one that I reviewed was the one that came in with the FIGS email, where there was a link to all of the documents.
To our construction drawing.
Let's go ahead and pull it up.
You have construction drawings in play.
Right. I think what you're referring to, Mr. Middleton, is, 2 weeks ago,
This one.
10 days ago, we submitted a revised version of the plat based on some recent feedback from the city, as well as sent you a link to the construction drawings, because I guess you'd indicated you hadn't seen the construction drawings yet.
Okay, this is the one that I reviewed.
Right.
So I would go through the things that I commented on and things that I would be recommending to the commission be on or part of the plat prior to it being signed for approval. First would be that the name of the plat is River, well, it's different from the original plat that came in with the two commercial district. It was called Rivertown Business District. And this plat is called Rivertown Subdivision. And it's the difference between the two lots in the River Commercial District and this. And if this is part of the larger plat, they all have to be the same name.
I guess my question would be, so we're gonna have a declaration of covenants and a bill of assurance for both Rivertown District, Business District, as well as Rivertown Commercial. So would that make any difference on what we call the actual plat? So this one's called phase 2, we were calling phase 1 where we did the Business District Lot 1 and Lot 2R.
Are there going to be more lots considered business district?
They're included in this. It's all the pink, that's all the commercial. So all the commercial is considered a business.
But the issue is not what's zoned as commercial, it's what's named as a plat.
Okay.
I mean, right now you've got one plat, it's called phase 1 of River City Business District. And now here's a plat that includes those two lots is called River City subdivision. And my own suggestion early on, and you're free to like it or not, was to have two plats. One plat being commercial district, which would be coterminous with the commercial zoning, and the second plat, which could have a different bill of assurance and different standards and requirements, would be residential only.
Is it correct, Mr. Middleton, that we'll have to be back before you with the final plat at some point?
Yes.
So
That would be after the city approves all of the improvements that are carried out, that are approved by the preliminary plat.
Yes, sir. So our goal is to initiate that construction. And to do so, and that's why we submitted to you all this preliminary plat as well as the set of construction drawings. And we've also spent a lot of time with Mr. McClure and Mr. Johnson. I feel really good about the progress we've made so far. They've been extremely helpful through this project. I understand the need for clarity on the naming. I wondered if this preliminary plat could be considered based on its context and the information in it, and then as we come back with final plats for approval, because this will be a phased approach, right? It's unlikely we'll come back with a final plat for all of this in its entirety. We would, on those final plat.
Are you proposing to phase this?
What we're asking for is approval of an unphased preliminary plat that would allow us to commence construction. As portions are complete and approved by city staff, we may very well come back to you with a final plat for a portion of it. We don't yet have defined boundary lines for phases. What we're asking you tonight is to approve the preliminary plat in an unphased manner. But my question was, as we come back with final plat, could we not differentiate at that time with the naming mechanism based on whether we're coming back with commercial lots or residential? Does that make sense?
Well, I guess my concern is you've got two different names for the same project right now.
Well, in hindsight, we would have not named those first two that you all approved Rivertown Business District, knowing what we know today. But we did, and they were approved as such. In developing this, it didn't make sense to call it Rivertown Business District, as it's mixed use, it's residential and commercial.
Which is why I thought it would make more sense to have two separate plats, one commercial and one residential, because that's the overall plan. And in the final analysis, it's up to the commission, but I felt like that needed to be resolved in some fashion. And there's a couple of ways you can go about it. One is to have two separate subdivisions, commercial, residential, each with their own bill of assurance and each with their own final plat. The second, I suppose, would be at the point when you're ready to go with a final plat on the part that you have developed, change the wording and the deed and everything for the first two lots to bring it into the larger name, or to rename everything the same as the first two lots. Those are the three options in my mind.
Well, I'll let Mr. Lambert jump in if he disagrees, but our main goal is to get to move forward with construction and not have the naming slow up, the real project. And so, Lance, do you have a problem with us calling all of this Rivertown Business District, even though a portion of it would be zoned? That would just be...
It's just gonna be on paper.
Yeah, it's just
The whole thing's gonna be
legal.
called Rivertown, period.
Yeah. As you and I talked about it in person.
It's gonna be intermingled commercial, residential, development, so.
Well, we're really intermingled because it's confluent with the zoning districts. They're really two separate things. I just think it needs either one name or two plats. And I've got personally, I got no problem with the design of the thing. I've got a few questions that need to be clarified, but I think the city is, and I'm speaking for the city, is pretty much ready for the, allow you to go to construction, which the approval of preliminary plat would do. We just need to take care of a few things to make sure it's clear.
Yeah, we had no, none of these comments, Mr. Middleton, we read as restrictive or that you all were opposing us in any way. We just were hopeful they wouldn't slow up the construction progress. So we're happy to accommodate all of them. And
I won't read them to the commission,
Yeah.
because I don't think they've seen them all. First was the naming of the plaque, because we had the two separate names on what appeared to be the same project. Next was, we would recommend, this is not a big deal, but we have one color, which is pink, for the lots that are going to be commercial, and a no color at all, well, and then green for the area that's gonna be open space, and no color at all for the lots that are supposed to be residential. And I would simply suggest putting a note on the plat indicating if there's no color on a lot, that that is residential, just to be clear. Wasn't sure, and I would probably ask Chad or Damon to respond to this, about, it requires a note about water courses entering and leaving the property. Was that on there? And this non-engineer missed it?
Here is floodplain designation drawn in here.
Yeah, the floodplain is, but are the water courses entering or leaving?
I mean, they're designated like there's a line, I mean, basically, but they're not named, I don't believe, is that,
But that they are shown.
yeah, I think they're shown.
Good enough. I was concerned about, there is a landlocked property, one parcel on the southeast side, and is there any chance that there can be an access easement allowed for that landlocked parcel? Otherwise, we have for all time shut them out of being able to develop at all.
that was one I still had a question mark by. Could I step up there and you point out to me where do you have the plat in front of you, Mr. Middleton? Or I can bring my copy up here.
Okay.
Why can't we get this to work?
Is HDMI2?
Technology is wonderful.
Is it, where do you have to push the F button, whichever F it is, to make it?
The F button.
It's off.
One of these buttons, maybe that one, F8. I can't read that.
Screen over, extend, second screen, connect to a wireless display. Where's the technology when you need it?
How was it connected before? Do you know?
Is it a wire connected?
Knock all the stuff off.
You need to hit the remote light, you know, the HDMI.
Do you have an HDMI? Here's an HDMI cable down here. Do you have an HDMI port on this computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be able to take it. Alright, HDMI 3, maybe.
But it's starting to look like.
Only when I have to. Now maybe push that, let screen share button. Well, did the TV turn on? I think it's HDMI 3, I think.
Still no signal.
I don't know. See, it shows you plugged into HDMI 3.
Yeah, move it up. Right there. That's what we're on now.
You selected that?
I mean, I know just much of it.
Obviously.
All day when you hit that, it would see that they changed and nobody's pushing it. That's why I said it.
I think they were.
I assume the computer turned out, they'll fall asleep.
Don't climb, major climb. Then you not.
She might not have been pushing. Is that you?
Is that the computer?
Mr. Middleton, are you referring to the property that Mr. Lambert owns, that part of the open space, or is this an adjacent
No,
parcel?
this is an adjacent parcel, come on over.
Okay.
Maybe it's got somebody else.
I don't know how to make it work either.
Right.
This computer's on.
It should have.
Is it WAUGH, W-A-U-G-H?
It's like Gary Benson, so Gary Benson. So it comes off of,
Now it's seeing, click on that.
you know, John Friday lives, so you can have access from there or from this street also. Is it this one, this side?
What do you know, names,
Is it under Snyder or WAUGH, W-A-U-G-H on your drawing?
Kind of like wall, I think.
So they have a driveway off of Franklin Street currently. So that, there's a home on that parcel that has a driveway off of Franklin Street.
Didn't see it, well, then maybe not, cause I don't remember seeing a home on it. Wall on
Comes in past,
50 or wherever that is, that you want to know?
no, it's like past,
Betty Jean and Franklin
John.
meet there off of
let's see,
off of Lee
somebody's one.
this year.
The one right beside where Arch Jones used to live. Yeah, they got a driveway off it.
The,
So, you know, you go past,
Street.
where street where, you know, where Rocky lives, and then Arch Jones lives, and it makes a big drag going back up to where you used to live. There's a driveway in that 90-degree bend.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go there to there.
Where Charlie Van
Key off the stable.
It's that wedge shape.
Key off the
across,
stable,
yeah.
Can you point it out to me one more time, Mr. Middleton? Make sure we're talking about the same.
Okay.
It's great for. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Where it's helping us, isn't it? This here.
I saw it more clearly on another map. Now, of course, you can't tell your cursor, show up up there.
What?
You may have to drag your window over,
Is that like a screen situation?
I think so.
And then you could probably, what you're looking at, you could be able to drag to the right.
You grab that tab and then drag it over.
Or the left.
You may have to reduce screen first.
I can even see my cursor. No,
He's worried about it hitting.
it's getting line.
How does construction documents print? Which one's being included in that?
Okay. That takes care of it. It has adjoining property, the same property owner has two parcels, so he does have some access that way.
Yeah, both those are named golf. I think it's the,
Okay.
now that we're looking at the right one. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong parcel, Mr. Middleton. That makes more sense.
That takes care of that question. Okay, does it need to have a date of the survey accuracy certificate? I think that was on the first page. It's undated.
Just the surveyor's signature.
Just the signature needs to be a date.
Right.
And this is pretty minor stuff compared to everything that I was looking at.
Right.
And the engineering certificate of accuracy isn't signed. It needs to be signed before it's approved.
Sure. So just need to make sure we get you guys an executed version.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Certificate of plat approval should read preliminary, not final.
Right.
Is there a bill of assurance for all of the rest of the development?
Guys, we've got a conversation going on here, so.
So, as I kind of said earlier, the business district has a, declaration covenant. Residential has a declaration of covenants. It will be over the top of the bill assurance for each one of those. So currently, the declaration of covenants for the business district has been filed. The bill of assurance has been filed, for the business districts of Lot 1 and 2R. We're currently finishing the bill of assurance for the remaining commercial. I got the final version of the declaration of covenants for the residential today, and he's currently working on the bill of assurance that lives under those.
It's my feeling that getting the final bill of assurance is not as critical to the preliminary plat as it is to the final plat. So, I think we can forget about that one, I'll scratch that off the list, but when the final plat, when you're ready to go final plat on anything, the bill of assurance for everything must be ready.
Is that just for you to match up the lots to make sure they all match within the actual plat and the?
The only purpose for our reviewing it, we don't approve it. The only purpose of reviewing it is to make sure that there's nothing in there that's contrary to any requirement of the city.
Gotcha.
That's all.
Gotcha.
So, if that's okay with the commission, we will make that only condition on approval of any final plat for any lots. Right.
Excuse me, would it be possible to turn down the mics, or is there a problem with that?
So we can hear better back
Sure.
here.
Would that be possible?
I think they're on, just.
Some just weren't close enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can everybody hear now? Good? Okay.
And one thing that's not well shown, and it could probably be taken care of in a note, the subdivision regulations require a 40-foot setback on any commercial property that abuts a residential property or a residential zone. So if that's not shown lot by lot, it needs to at least be a note reflecting that.
Yes, sir.
And those are my comments, and so my suggestion to the commission is for the things that have not been taken care of that I've mentioned, that are kind of scratched off, those need to be taken care of before it's signed. And when it's signed, go to construction. I'm assuming that there is nothing outstanding, because I did not look at any of the engineering stuff, that the city is okay with the engineering.
We're working through some fine details, but I don't think there's anything to not, like, continue to move forward.
Okay. So, take care of these things for the preliminary plat, it can be signed. And once it's signed, you can ask for a building permit.
If I'm, I think I'm hearing you correctly, and we have an approval from the health department on the water and sewer, we have approval from ADQ for a stormwater permit. We're working through a few details with Damon, sounds like we worked through these few details with you all. The preliminary plat could be signed at that point, we could move forward with construction, that's really what we're excited about right now.
Once these things are taken care of,
Yes, sir.
and the city's okay with the details, yeah.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And going back to the name, that can always be amended. I mean, there's tons of subdivisions that have been renamed and they've just amended or done not even necessarily have to be replat or anything, just an amendment of the name.
I think what I'll ask, and if you guys disagree, that's okay, but I was just brainstorming. Like Lance was saying a moment ago, when he and I and you all in years down the road refer to that area in Batesville, the hope is that everyone will just call it Rivertown. I mean, we don't want people saying in the Rivertown Business District. We put that on the plat early on. So as we bring the final plat to you all for this, we might just bring a revised of that initial final for those first two lots that changes the name of everything to just Rivertown, if that would be acceptable, so that it's all consistent.
I mean, consistency definitely needs
Yeah.
to be consistent. And that's what the purpose of an amendment would be. I mean, yeah, you want it to be referred to as Rivertown, but legally it needs to be referred to as River City Business District or Rivertown Business District, or,
Yeah.
you know, but it needs to have that legal formal name. Or again, if you wanna refer to Rivertown, you know, it'd be ideal to have it amended as well.
Yes, sir.
And my only concern is that part of this is gonna be a legal issue at that point in time, because if you've got something that's deeded to one name, what do you have to change in order to make it all in one name? Especially if you're actually considering phasing some final plats in various parts of this instead of all at once. And you just have to watch out for that.
Right. Thank you.
So as matters stand, I think you could approve conditionally that it can be signed by the chair or the vice chair until there is a note on there indicating that lots that are not colored are residential only, that the date of the survey accuracy certificate is signed, that the certificate of plat approval reads preliminary plat and not final plat, and that there's a note in there about commercial properties abutting residential properties or residential zoning have to have a 40-foot buffer on the abutting side. Okay, you all got that?
Look for a motion to approve that.
I make a motion to approve as just stated by Mr. Milton.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, if you like, we could make it more difficult.
No, that was great, thank you. Now, all those will be in the minutes, which is helpful too, correct?
Mostly clear.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Alright, so next item on the agenda, we have, a Markowski and others land use plan revision. We'll open this up to a public hearing. We've got some people who've come in after the meeting. I'd like to see, can we get, are you on here for Joey or just?
We're here about the country club property, and I guess that's what you just discussed.
Yes.
We're interested in what the zoning is proposed. I don't think any of us have seen any
We
maps.
live on Briar Drive, which backs up right up to it.
It's shown on the city's webpage, the zoning is already shown on the zoning map,
So has that already been determined and approved?
a year ago.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
My name's Doug Newsome, I live at 1101 Duffer, right there by the golf course. Everything was going all right until everything started being set on fire back there. Of course, I had ash in my pool, smoke in my house. Fires burned all night. Now, y'all have rules and stuff that say fires burn during the day or whatever, you gotta have a permit and so forth. I've never seen anything I didn't even know this was happening until my neighbor, they said they're gonna dig through his yard, okay? Right across from me. And I told him I don't think that could happen because the grade from the old golf course down to the sewer is probably 20 feet. And I don't know how far you have to dig down through rock. I already have the brand new road that was put in is already buckling. It was put in last year. It's already buckling from the tree roots from my pine tree, okay? There's no possible way to get through that rock without damaging my house even more, or the houses beside us, because we feel everything over there. When they're paving by the sheriff's department, our windows rattle in all our houses right there because we're on the same rock. And I expressed this before when my house was damaged when the city put in a sewer system. Okay, we went to court over there. The point is, this is my point. Where I live, it floods there real bad. And I don't know how you're gonna traverse that creek without that creek backing up and having a catastrophic failure. We've already got ditches back there that have opened up with water coming in, mudding up the creek. Nobody put anything down in the creek to keep the water from being damaged, any damage, barriers or nothing, until I called the state. Because track boats were going through that creek left and right. And there's darter fish down there. Nobody bothered to call the state, ecology people, and say, hey, we got some endemic fish down here. But it all got muddied up, all right? And on top of that, Mr. Mobley, years ago, he used to talk about Civil War stuff, and he told me that's an Indian mountain. He said 100 years ago when they built this golf course, they didn't care, okay? They didn't care. So all that whole thing is an Indian mountain. It's common sense. It's got a creek on the left, creek on the right, and the creek in front of my yard. My house sits on an Indian mountain, part of an Indian mountain. I got a backhoe. I dig in my own yard and I find stuff all day long. So the state archaeologist came out the other day, with my drone over, showed her some stuff. You can see the stuff laying on the ground between the leaves. It's not that hard to see. There's Indian artifacts all along those creek banks where they live. My problem is that when that floods back there, that water's gonna back all the way up to wherever you're gonna traverse that river, that creek rather. If you put culverts in there, all it's gonna do is block them culverts and something's gonna wash out. It's gonna change the water. It has to be really looked at and done right. The path needs to be a straightforward path, not a crooked side road taken to get there. And that's what's happening. And the reason I say that, I know that because I should have got a notice. Everybody in here that lives around that golf course should have got a notice from the city. And I've heard this before from the city. Oh, we need to do a better job. I also got a house in Florida. I get a notice in Florida all the time. Anytime they go to dig a ditch near my house, they send out flyers telling me to be at this meeting. Why can't that happen here? I've lived here 20 years. Opened up the pool store here. Went in the military, fought for this country. But nobody wants to tell me anything. They just keep it all to themselves. It's not that hard. Knock on the door. I'm right there. You guys know everybody where they live.
I really appreciate your concern, and again, this is something that it was voted on last year, and again, we are looking at phases of.
I didn't get to be there.
Well, it was noticed, it was given notice to the public.
How?
We're looking at
How?
There was a sign, there was notice on the website.
Where's the sign?
We are doing our best to improve the old processes. Processes only
Look,
state that
my
it
wife has
needed
an
to run.
email.
Sir, this
I
is
get
not a
email.
public hearing. This is not a public
Well,
hearing.
it
This is
should
a
be,
meeting
because-
at
okay.
this time. This
No,
is not a
look,
public hearing.
I'm gonna let you know something. I'm a pen pal with Donald Trump.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you know that I'm
We have
gonna
an
with
agenda
this.
that we have to stick to.
I'm gonna
We do
go
not have
federal
a
with
time, we do not have a public hearing at this time.
Well, you should.
The public hearing has already taken place.
Well, I didn't know about it.
This, you would give
I
notice.
live on the
The way
course.
that the statute states.
You understand?
There was notice given.
How would you like it if
We
it's
are
in your
looking,
backyard?
we are looking to improve the
How would
way
you
we
like
do
it if it's
that.
your backyard and a man comes in there and sets fire to the whole thing? And puts ash in your pool and smoke through your guest house, my pool house,
You
and my
need
main
to
residence?
speak with someone with the city. It's not a zoning and planning matter.
This should be. It's obviously that something ain't going right here because there's no way you're gonna get through the rock to put a sewer in. My neighbor couldn't be here, Reggie Rice, because he works for DOT over in another part of the state.
So I'm
he
gonna
can't-
have to ask you that we have an agenda to stick to. We all are trying to get through this agenda.
Look,
Thank you. Okay. So we have the Markowski and others land use plan revision.
Excuse me just a second. I think these gentlemen on a different location, they may have a question or something right here. I know you guys have a quick agenda, but if these guys could, they're on Briar. I believe I recognize all on Briar Drive right there. So if you guys could maybe just give them 5 minutes, Mr. Chairman. And I know you're on an agenda, but I know these folks have a different, kind of a different outlook than,
Thank you.
yeah,
Sure.
than Mr. Newsom did, so.
Anybody, Mr. Collier, so you stand up, or, yes, sir? Would you, can you give us your name?
Good evening, I'm George Dabrowski, this is my wife Alice, we reside at 1307 Briar. And I know that there was a public meeting previously, I believe it was last year, or even the prior year, but we never attended, and we did receive notice from Davidson Engineering about this meeting, so we thought we would have an opportunity to have raised a few concerns and possibly get some answers. So that's why we're here, and several of my neighbors are here too. I know we're gonna be pressed for time, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. Is there a timeline to this project that's been determined already? I mean, how long is this development going to be going on? Indefinitely, or is there a finish by date?
I guess that falls on me.
You're Mr. Spitfire, I take it?
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but do you have a general idea?
Well, can we put it back up? I'd like to give these people as honest of an answer as I can. Scroll to the top.
Would you please tell me where the western end of this project is? Are we looking?
This is north,
Okay,
this is gonna be west, so, Briar, that's, it's due west.
we're due west of that project.
We're Burling, Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah, we live right next door.
Okay. Burling's my aunt.
Okay.
So you live, Burl lives right about here.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
about where we live.
So from here to here will all be completed in 26.
Okay, and what, that is commercial, sir, or?
The pink is commercial,
Okay,
the white is all residential.
okay,
The roundabout is here, and this entrance comes in between Optimum and Akron.
okay.
That will all be completed this year.
Is Myers gonna go through?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will that be done this year?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, great. And so along the west end there, are those all residential lots?
These are all residential, yes, sir. You
Okay.
notice there's a green buffer between you guys and,
Okay, all right, well, great, that really is helpful. Are there scale drawings of this development available for purchase or not?
I mean,
I'd be happy to show you the plan if you'd like to see the plan.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go, okay, great. All right, and the gentleman that spoke earlier spoke a little bit about nuisance, like the noise, the dust, this type of thing. I'm sure you've developed a way to mitigate those type of things, so they have minimal impact on your neighbors.
Bear can speak on some of it, but I do have all my permits, my stormwater permits, and everything I'm doing, I'm keeping abreast of the city. I talk to the fire chief every time I do any of that. I mean, the burning should be finished, if that's the big issue. Now, the the sound of the, construction. I can do my best to keep it limited and within time frames of, working hours. But, I mean, there's gonna be things that too like noise, equipment running, things like that.
But the heavy equipment work is primarily finished?
The heavy equipment work is not finished.
Oh, okay, so we'll have to deal with that for a while.
Because I've gotta go in and I've gotta put in all the sewer, all the water, all the natural gas, none of that underground utilities. You know, as you go in, as the gentleman said earlier, there is a lot of rock chips on that, to do something to mitigate the rock.
Where are you going to run the sewer lines?
It's got sewer on both sides of it already.
Excuse me just a second. I'm gonna go back.
Sure.
Sure.
Give me that.
Get them on the inside.
Maybe, third time's the charm. Mr. Markowski, what you got for us?
Four. He came and came.
I think it's better if I take care of the land use plan, because you have a conflict of interest, so I'll make a presentation on that. Has been a request for a zoning change in this area, which we will discuss later. But in order to do that, it needs to be consistent with the land use plan. And right now, in those crosshatched areas, right now they are showing commercial. And the one up the upper left-hand corner is high-density residential right now in the land use plan. But that is in effect splitting the Mobley Lumber Company property into both commercial on the south end and multifamily residential or high-density residential on the north end. And the zoning that's going to be coming to you would make that all be commercial. The area that's going to be the Markowski property is right now, the land use plan is calling for all commercial, and the zoning right now, well, we'll talk about that later, but it makes more sense for it, because there's residential high-density multifamily apartments to the northeast of that. It doesn't make sense to have commercial running all the way up into that property, especially if the property is going to be developed for residential purposes in the future. So my recommendation is that we change the land use classification from high-density residential to commercial, which the property owner agrees with, and from commercial to high-density residential over on the east side. That would make it relevant and consistent with what the zoning in the future would be, and as far as the plan goes, that makes sense in my mind. So the next thing to do would be to hold a public hearing to see if anybody disagrees with that.
Yeah. All right, so I guess let's just go ahead and open up to a public hearing. Okay. All right, so just look, or go ahead and close the public hearing.
Some discussion.
All right, any discussion on the proposal? No? Yeah, motion for anybody or for motion?
We'll change the land use plan.
Yeah. I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. All right, so these met the requirements. All right. rezone.
Okay, in this case, that the land use plan has been revised, the original request, basically from the property owner, Mr. Markowski, was to rezone a portion of that property to R1, which is commercial. Right now, it's been from R1 to R2, and for, right now, the plat will be coming up, it's 3 lots. The top lot currently is zone R1. He wants eventually to change that to R2, so he could put in a larger development, multifamily oriented. And the bottom 2 lots are currently, one is completely zoned commercial, C1, and the middle lot, the way the zoning district line runs, it's partly commercial and partly single-family residential. That's just an accident of the way the original zoning map was drawn years and years ago. But while I was looking at this, it occurred to me that we had slices of R1 that you're seeing right here and here. And that was caused by the way a legal description was written when something was rezoned at some time in the past. And it was my recommendation to the staff that we go ahead and change that to commercial, and the property owner has agreed in both cases. This property owner over here is actually part of a lot that houses the Social Security office, and this is all the Mobley Lumber Company. And I also recommended that this portion up here, which is now zoned R2, be changed to C1, which would make the entire Mobley Lumber Company property a single zoning classification instead of having split zoning on one piece of property. Mr. Mobley has agreed to that, and Mr. Markowski has agreed to that, and the owner of this property has agreed to that also. Public hearing time. Okay.
Open up to public hearing. No comment? Public hearing is now closed. Discussion. Yep, discussion. Anybody? No. Okay. So I'll look for a motion, to amend the rezone.
Motion to amend the rezone.
Second, anybody?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Alright. Have a quorum before, we are good.
Now that that's all been done, the request came in as a minor plat. Minor plat is an operation essentially if it's less than 4 lots or less, and if it doesn't require any significant engineering such as street construction, water lines, sewer, all that sort of stuff, which meets all those criteria. One of the few things that concerned me at the beginning was that it was going to require an access easement in order, because there is a private road running from Harrison up to the apartments to the north there. It turns out that there's already a road or access easement in place, and the way it was done in the old days, property ran to the center line of the road, and that's the situation here. That was probably done years ago. So there's already an access easement on this property as well as the property to the east of it. So it doesn't actually have direct access like you would normally expect the property to have to a public street. But in my mind, it would take 3 property owners to all agree to pay for a private, or pay for a street and dedicate it to the city, which doesn't make sense to me. As long as access is protected on all 3 properties, that's sufficient. And the easement was in place before this property was ever considered for subdivision. So I don't see an issue there. The only issues that I have, that the plat itself, it has a certification for engineering approval, and I'm not aware of any engineering design that's required on this property, so I don't see a need for that particular certification to be on there. It doesn't hurt to have it there, but it's an empty slot. It needs to show the date of the plat. Well, normally, on a plat that we usually see, the name of the subdivision, the date of the plat, the notation that it is a final plat all shows up in the signature block or the title block, which in this case, if I can get the mouse to work, is down here. The name of the subdivision is shown up here. It is properly shown as a residential subdivision, but there's no date for the plat itself. This is dependent on two things, maybe three. One is we will send a draft resolution up to the city council to approve a resolution that would change the land use plan, affect this amendment. Depending on what you do tonight, we would also have to send a draft ordinance up to the city council to approve the rezone that you just approved. Those two things would have to take place before a plat can be signed, because right now the plat would not be consistent with either the land use plan or the zoning. So those two things just simply have to take place. And the only other thing that I spotted was in the bill of assurance, the word wrought, as in wrought iron, was spelled R-O-T. And I've never seen wrought iron. So that needs to be taken care of. But basically, I recommend approval with the conditions that it not be signed until the council has approved both the rezone and the land use plan approval. This doesn't require a public hearing, but we could be open to questions.
Questions? So, look for a motion for, conditional approval. The plat, the rezone approved by the city council. The plat, approved by city council.
Conditional approval of the plat subject to the two approvals by the council. I'll make a motion.
Yeah. Old business. We're not for something. Okay. So the area, that technically that'd be item 10. This is one of, old business, but this should be.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's 10.
Yeah. Second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Sophie, name that one?
That was a combination of jet lag and frustration. No, she did not approve that name.
No. Okay, now we're looking at, the item 11, which would be old business.
I don't see it. New business. I only brought this up because you have to meet in January, bylaws require it. At your annual meeting, that's where you elect officers, so you have to meet, whether there's any other business or not. The only question was, because it's on the 5th of January, whether that was too close to New Year's and you wanted to move it a week back. Either, it doesn't make a difference to me, but I thought I should bring it up in case you wanted to consider it.
Or do I have anything conflicting, which, the 5th, 12th, either one of those days is fine with anybody. What day? 12th would be better. Okay. 12th, yeah, Monday the 12th. Put a vote to it. January 5th. All those in favor? 12, or, yeah, the vote's moved to 12. Aye. Okay. Yep, alright. So January meeting will be Monday, January 12th, 2026. Let's go back just to do a little bit old business. Has there been anything further for notice?
No. And for the mayor's sake, and the council's sake, well, observation about good public notice, because in the last 4 or 5 months, we had some really unhappy people who say they're not getting enough information in time to know that they should have an interest in something coming before the planning commission. We've always relied simply on getting something in the newspaper, but there was a time when that was relevant because everybody got a daily newspaper in Batesville, and they don't anymore. And nobody reads the legal sections. Nobody. That is a requirement of state law, so we're doing that no matter what. But there's got to be a better way to inform citizens. You cannot lead a horse to water. And you can't make it drink. You cannot make people read the paper or look at the website or do anything else. You can't actually go knocking on their door, but you can provide a little bit better notice than you are right now. And my primary suggestion has always been, and I'm sorry, but this is what Sherwood does, and I think it's a really good idea. They actually put the agenda, they post it on the city's webpage, and they put a place on there, and they actually have the ability to sign up for notices by the citizens to this place on the city's webpage that announces the agenda for the council, the agenda for any commission or board that requires it. I think if the agenda was posted there, that would indicate in some detail what's coming up to the public. The other possibility, and I have mixed feelings about this, is to actually send letters out to people who are joining, especially on rezones. I don't see it as so necessary on subdivisions, although on large-scale subdivisions, I do think it's appropriate, as what happened here, to send notices and even registered mail or certified mail to folks. Some cities send certified mail and regular mail, because some people will say, well, I'm not going to read that registered mail, so you cannot say it got delivered to me, as if that was enough to stop something. But if the mail goes through and they have to open it, well, you've done as best you could. But to me, at a minimum, now that we've got the technology for it, I think the web page needs to include agendas, and at least a notice of a meeting coming up and what's on the agenda. That's up to, I don't know who that's up to. I've been working on the agenda, but it's not up to our consultant to do that, I mean, just to be blunt. But I really do think that needs to be done in somehow, form or fashion. There will be some times when the commission doesn't meet, and it probably should be noted that the commission's not meeting, if there's no business. But anytime the commission's going to meet and there's business, there should be some kind of notice. I've said that 4 times in a row right now, haven't I? I don't know how much further you can go to let people know what the business of this commission's going to be. It's been more of an issue this past year because there's been more business for this commission than I have ever seen in the 15 years I've been doing this with you all.
A few unhappy people is a symptom of progress and growth, I hate to sound cruel or mean, but, if you wanna control what happens on the property next to you, the only way to do that is to own it. I mean, that's just the reality of the world we live in.
So these particular pieces of property are properties that have been vacant for years, that very few remaining, these people finally are.
People get accustomed to having vacant property next door and think nothing will ever happen, but we need housing, things are gonna start happening.
And I'm sure y'all be more delicate than I was when I was chairman of the planning commission, because somebody talked loud enough and angry enough about not wanting to get in front of those beautiful trees in front of my property, I would say, then buy the damn property.
Right. I mean, that's.
You didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the truth.
But it's a matter of how the meeting is handled, that's how you do it. But the point of the meeting is to provide information, and I never have a problem with a public hearing, because somebody may very well offer some information we didn't know anything about, and that could influence our decision. I want to hear it, I don't wanna hear a lot of complaining, but it's up to the chairman to manage that.
Good job.
I have spoken.
But, either way, notice how we can either share it when we have, you know, a Facebook page that sends stuff out to, and there's no comments, you know, as we talked about before.
Yeah.
That way people, I mean, there's nobody's gonna read everything. I mean, there might be one person that may stir it up but either way, you can't, everybody can't see it.
And I agree, dude, I'll comment on what Rob said, that the mayor and I, last month, we went to a municipal league training on condemnation of properties, and the lead attorney that put on the presentation, talked about the importance of notices before we tear someone's house down. But I asked him on the side, I said, look, we're just coming off catching some heat on notices, how does that pertain to rezoning? And he said, man, the internet has changed everything, the paper, the daily paper, where everyone will get their information is, now it's social media, and all cities are struggling with that, and he suggested, hey, we're suggesting, put it on your city's website, social media. We're not the only ones struggling.
Yeah, I think the biggest change, challenge is, like social media and having somebody, we're almost to the size that we need someone for public relations, but, of course, everybody's in business, budget restraints does not allow that. I'd love to have a public relations individual who was, worked full-time on the website and everything that we have going on in the community. And the same person who puts it on the website is the same one who answers the phone, counts the money, and, so, they do. We try to do the best we can, and hopefully we're gonna try to improve on those things, so.
If I can, I'd make another observation. I think would require some change in the way the commission and even the staff does business to a certain extent. If you allow an application to come in the day before a commission meeting, there's no way you can notify the public about what's going on.
Yeah.
That's why you really should have certain deadlines in front of the meeting, A, so that there is proper review by staff on some of these things, especially ones that are getting more complex these days, and B, so that an agenda can be put together at least a week in advance, so that the public can find out what's supposed to be going on, because when it comes in like it's been too often, right in front of the meeting, you can't let the public know.
Yeah, that's right.
And that means that the commission might have to say, no, we're not going to take it up. But we haven't had time to review it, and we haven't had time to let the public know about it. And the staff has got to be covered too, to be able to say the same thing. And it may be the commission says, our rules are this. Rules are 30 days in advance, or 2 weeks, or something reasonable. I don't think it needs to be 30 days, unless it's something like this. But at least 2 weeks in advance, so that there can be review and notification.
Honestly, I think the public notice requirements in the guard it takes so long now, it's almost like a 20-day advance period to get to hit a target date, so it's almost there anyway.
I promise I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah.
All right, look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.